Hey guys, it's Dr. Anthony Davis at the Davis Medical Group in Lindale, Texas. Today I want to talk to you about how to eat. I know this is going to be repetitive, but we keep adding more and more knowledge to this. You know, the science is expanding and growing. We're trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong from the 1940s till now. And if you don't believe me, go to any elementary school you want and compare the class sizes then, the body sizes of the kids in classes then to the body sizes now, or go to any grocery store or any restaurant. Just look around. Things are different. Something is different about our lifestyle and our diet. So let's talk about that. Okay, so really to talk about it, what we really want to do is break this down, in my opinion, into 3 primary rules. Rule number 1, I think, has to be, in the current situation, you need to be low carb. Why? Well, because your body can't tolerate carbohydrates. Why? Because we've done other things, which we'll talk about in a minute. At the end of this video, it explains why you can't tolerate carbohydrates. We assume that it's just eating more sugar. Well, yeah, of course. We do eat a lot more sugar than we used to eat, and that sugar is coming in lots of different ways, right? We used to eat, let's say in World War II times, we ate meat and vegetables. There was some flour and biscuits and gravy and things like that, but there wasn't tons and tons of fast food. There wasn't tons and tons of meats that had been adulterated and changed and mixed with fillers and mixed with grains to try to make them last longer and to extend them. Also to make their shelf life longer. So what have we done to our meat? Okay, so you've seen the scandals from fast food restaurants and how they don't really serve meat. There's something else going on with that. Well, think about the meat that came from your grandma's or great-grandma's house, right? So I remember staying at my grandparents' house and they had animals, right? But they didn't go to the feed store. They didn't go down to the feed store and buy cow feed, pig feed, chicken feed. They didn't. Those animals ate what they were supposed to eat. So you didn't need to buy feed for cows if you had grass for cows to eat. You didn't need to buy chicken feed if your chickens could wander around the yard and eat bugs and worms. You didn't need it. But guess what? Those meats were healthier. So what was healthier about that? The fat. So this is important. This is very important. And I would say relatively new kind of science that we're pushing in this general direction. The fat that you eat determines a lot. Particularly it determines whether or not your body's going to be inflamed, whether your fat cells are going to expand or shrink, and whether or not you're sugar or carbohydrate tolerant, right? You want to be tolerant. And what I mean by that is if you eat a sugar load, your blood sugar is going to go up. In a healthy body, it will then quickly go back down. In an unhealthy body, it'll go up and then it'll sustain, and for hours it'll be up. And that's where the big damages can come from, because you release sustained insulin over time. And then that leads to chronic insulin resistance, which is basically diabetes, which basically means your entire body can't absorb sugar except your fat cells. And then your doctor comes along and gives you medicines to put even more sugar in your fat cells. And we do not get rid of the disease process because we're really just dealing with the consequence of being sugar intolerant. Okay, so if rule number 1 is low carb, because you're sugar intolerant and your body can't handle the carbohydrates right now, rule number 2 is going to be better fat. So let's talk about better fat. Classically, every one of you knows that when you go to your doctor, he's going to say or she's going to say something about taking fish oil, right? Fish oil. What is fish oil? It's the fat from a wild animal. A fish that was caught in the ocean was eating fish, right? It was eating its proper diet. It was properly fed. And when an animal is properly fed, it makes more omega-3. Now, fish are very good at that. Fish can make omega-3 more than anyone. So fish oil is actually the best oil out there because it's pure omega-3, particularly EPA and DHA, right? Those are the oils that make you better. What happens if somebody comes into the clinic and they have a high triglyceride level and a low good cholesterol level, low HDL? What do we treat them with? Fish oil. Well, let's change the name of that. Omega-3 oil. Their triglycerides then turn around and go down, and their good cholesterol turns around and goes up, right? All we did was supplement animal fat, good, healthy, well-fed animal fat, and their labs looked better. Well, guess what else? Your fat cells are triggered to shrink, and your body is going into an anti-inflammatory state because your omega-3 level went up. Now, the problem is, what we really need is we only need 1 omega-3 compared to 1 omega-6, 6 and 9 and 12. These are fats. Each one of these fats is not necessarily bad for you. It's when the ratio of omega-3 healthy fat to omega-6 and 9 goes up. Now, the average American has been said to have 30 or even 40 to 1 ratio of bad fats to good fats, or inflammatory, weight gaining, sugar intolerant fats to the healthier fats that cause your fat cells to shrink and cause your body to be sugar tolerant and cause you to have less inflammation. So what we really need is better fats. So where are you gonna get that? Well, if the world was made out of candy and money, you would buy nothing but perfect meat, or you would grow it yourself. I know, and my lifestyle won't do that, but you would go buy grass-fed, grass-finished cows, cow meat, cow fats. You would buy pasture-raised chickens. You would buy pasture-raised chicken eggs. You would buy vegetarian or perfectly fed pork, and you would just eat all that stuff, and you would be perfectly healthy. Your body would go into an anti-inflammatory, sugar-tolerant, skinnier self, because the fats would be omega-3, and that's what we're after. But we don't live in that world. So how do you go to the grocery store and buy lean meats or meats, yet and still fit into this good fat process? Well, to me, that's easy. This is just a no-brainer. Here it is. Nuts and bolts, bargain, healthy fat. Here's your fat choices. I go on Amazon and I buy grass-fed lard or grass-fed tallow. The word lard is kind of off the beaten path now. So grass-fed tallow, and I cook it with it, just like my grandma cooked with bacon grease, right? Now remember, her bacon grease came from wild pigs or from pigs that were fed properly. So at this point, I do grass-fed tallow. I cook everything in it, but I buy the lean meats at the grocery store. Why the lean meats? Because the protein is generally fine. The egg whites and the meat, whether it's chicken breast or pork loin, is fine. It's not the protein that gets affected by the animal's diet. It's the fat, And here's the perfect example. Think of an egg yolk, right? So if you went to the grocery store and just bought the cheapest egg there, the yolk would be bright yellow, okay? Well, right next to that would be the pasture-raised eggs, and those eggs are dark orange. And I can tell you this, a dark orange yolk is better for you. It's full of omega-3. It's anti-inflammatory. It makes you sugar tolerant. It makes your fat cells shrink, right? It's omega-3. A bright yellow yolk, that chicken was fed grains, soybeans, vegetable oils. It was given all of the stuff that you don't want to be eating. And when that animal ate that, it made omega-6 and omega-9 fats. And those fats, when taken in excess above the omega-3s, increase your fat stores, your inflammation, and your sugar intolerance. So you want to buy the good eggs. So here's your grass-fed butter, grass-fed lard, grass-fed ghee, pasture-raised egg yolks. Those things are the fats that you should add to your meals to get your omega-3 level going up. And certainly you can supplement. There's plenty of supplements that are coming from grass-fed cows that make you better. I take one called Firestarter from Heart and Soil. I'm not sponsored by them in any way. I don't even know them, but I do think that that's a good brand. What I'm after is more omega-3 fats, right? That's what I'm after. And I'm trying to get that balance of 1-to-1, because no matter how hard you try, omega-6s and 9s are going to come into your diet. They just will. They're just going to come in. Okay, so rule number 1, low carb. Rule number 2, better fats. It's a battle. You have to make sure you're getting the better fats. Buy the inexpensive lean meats, chicken breast, pork loin, lean cow, and add grass-fed lard, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee to it, okay? And then you made it a grass-fed animal for pennies on the dollar. And if you can get the good meats, there are plenty of places now that are specializing in good meats. Eat those, any chance you get. Okay, rule number 3. All right, so rule number 1 again, low carb until you become carb tolerant, which will be a while. Rule number 2, better fats, more omega-3 fats. And then rule number 3, probably the most important one, and you can go back and look at one of my previous videos when I'm talking about protein. You must be a protein-holic. You cannot eat enough protein for me. I don't care how hard you try. I don't care how many grams of protein you have every day. I will still be sad that you didn't get more protein. I'll be like, how many grams of protein did you get? 180? Oh, why didn't you get 220? Oh, I'll be always pushing you. Here's the problem. You cannot overdose on protein. Here's why. The absorption of protein from the foods that you're eating is not 100%. So the best protein source is an egg white. So if you eat an egg white and it has 7 grams of protein in it, you actually only absorb about half of that, right? So if you're trying to get 200 grams of protein and you're only absorbing 3.5 per egg, do the math, all right? If you're eating good lean meats, that has 30 grams of protein per 4 ounces, you're only absorbing 40 to 50% of that. So if you eat 200 grams and you calculate that, you're really not getting that. And well, let's say you use protein powder to supplement for your protein, all right? So if you use good whey protein powder, how much are you absorbing? 15, 20%. So if you're getting 20 grams of protein through protein powder, you're only absorbing 3 or 4 or 5 grams. So you can't overdo it for me, but you can certainly underdo it. You can certainly underdo it. And the more protein you eat, the healthier you get. The more protein you eat, the healthier you get. Protein makes you lean. Protein makes you not hungry. Protein gets rid of cravings. Protein helps you build your body and be anabolic and get stronger. Okay, so that's today's video. That's basically how to eat in a nutshell. Low carb, better fat, and adequate protein. Go back and watch my protein video if you need to. So have a great day. I know this is in depth, but this is worth it. This is worth it. Literally having this conversation 25 times a day in my clinic. So have a great day. Dr. Anthony Davis, the Davis Medical Group. Bye.